Once you started and signed up in Appgyver, you should see a page like this, where you can see your projects. In this case, I have one project called Damage Report, and well, it's quite plain, but it will be sufficient for our cases. So we want to create an app for meetings and how to rate them. Yeah, so let's start our first project. We will call it Meeting Rater and just go with the default theme. All right. There we are, our first application. It's runnable, and you will see that the page is divided into different sections. We will go and take a look at each of those sections one by one. Let's start with the canvas in the middle. Here you will see that this is actually your page, and this page is similar to design tools, divided into components. In this case, we have one title component and one paragraph component. If you click on it, then you will see a blue box appear. Here is a copy button and a remove button. So when I press the remove button, it will just delete this component. The whole page itself is always nested inside a page layout in this case. So you have a tree here, and it will give you a structure in behind. So it's similar to HTML or XML. It's like components nested inside components inside components. The page will start with a simple structure, the page layout, and then it has, in this case, only one component. It's a title. If I press on it, it's the same as when I press on the components directly on the page. And this main canvas is divided into two. So we have the view and we have the variables. So if you press the toggle button, you will just switch to the back end, basically. Or, well, we should not say back end, but let's say behind the scenes. So what kind of data are we dealing with? But going first to the view canvas, we will see on the left side some kind of a component market and the basic forms, layout, and list. So they're groups of different components. Appgyver call these the core components. So what the core components do is they give you the ability to just drag and drop different components into your page and create the page as you wish. So for example, we have just took an additional title, a paragraph, card, and a button component. All right, I just refreshed the page without saving it. So we're back where we should have started with the title and the paragraph. And there are like some special components, for example, the container. And the container has the ability to wrap different components inside. So for example, we have the container here, and we can simply drag a title inside it, and then a paragraph, and maybe, let's say, a slider field. Well, we can also drag it straight in the tree itself. So in this case, if it gets a bit too messy, you can always use a tree, which helps a lot. So there we are. And this one will act as one component if you just select a container. We will also have the ability to give the components properties and styles. On the right side, you will see that there are 5 different properties for this container. So we can give it a different display name. Let's say group 1. It has an ID. The ID is not changeable, and we have a toggle if it's visible or not. So this will be used in cases of you want to hide some components and just make them visible when data changes. So on the upper right side we see the save button. This will always be presented green when you change the state of your application. In this case we did, so we can save it now, and we also have a history, and that's great because with the history you are always able to roll back to a state from the history. So in this case we could roll back to before the state we saved the first time, like this. There we are. I'm not sure if I can go back. Maybe if I just, I don't know, refresh the page. Yeah. So before we start building our application, let's start about what the meeting rater should be about. The app should be quite easy and simple to build, and the purpose behind is in cases of you have meetings and you do not know if the meeting was effective or not effective. Let's create an app so every attendee is able to rate the meeting, and in the end you have some stats and you have some data you can talk about. We want the ability for every attendee of a meeting to list all the meetings with the ratings, to add feedback, to add a rating to each of those meetings, and in some cases there is an owner. So if, for example, I created a meeting, I should be able to name it, describe it, to give it a date and a location, and I should be the only one who could delete this meeting as well. Okay, so we can just straight build a UI in Appgyver, and at a later point we will deal with the data and behind.